Good evening, everyone. Tonight is a very special night. It is the first day off we've had since we started our run for work. It's been 7 days. We get a day off finally, so I'm excited to just relax and sleep. I'll probably shoot another video tomorrow, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's talk about today's video. And today I want to tell a little story that discusses the importance of being warmed up. All right? It's one of those things that'll sneak up on you. Doesn't matter if you play sports or if you do what I do right now, which is do presentations for work. We stand up at the front and teach. If you're not warmed up, even if you're seasoned and skilled, that can really get you. It'll result in an injury or an awkward moment or anything of that sort. And so I was in that position today. Okay, so like I said, we started doing our presentations about a week ago. And it's a long day. It's 8 hours of standing up front, not all at once for each person. We're in a team, and each teammate takes on various roles throughout the day, and we rotate. Like sometimes a person will work at the beginning, and that same person might not have to do that beginning section, and they'll do something after lunch or in the evening, all that jazz. You following? So typically I like to do everything in the morning. It's when I'm fresh, when I'm just getting started. We've gotten to our location to do our work, and I'm ready to go. And today was actually a bit more of a special occasion because there was one presentation I hadn't done. It was a hands-on sort of thing. It was an interaction where you actually have volunteers assist you with it from the audience. And I trained on it, but I had never done it perfectly all the way through, like with a live audience. Actually, I hadn't done it perfectly all the way through in training either. But I got up this morning super early, like usual, and on my way to work, I was rehearsing this section of the presentation in my head. And I was nervous about it. And we got to our staging area to leave in our vehicles, and our lead asked us a question. She was like, "Which section do you want to do, Alex?" And it was either the intro beginning part that I had done, or it was this new section that I hadn't. And so at first I hesitated, and then I said, I'm going to do the beginning section. I copped out. I was like, I'll just do the beginning section. I feel comfortable with it. One of my other teammates is fantastic. He nails it every time. So I'm like, he can do it. But I also realized that this was the last day we'd be working at this particular site. And I'd gotten comfortable with this site. It was pretty easy to work in. And we'd gone to another one before, but it was a lot more complicated. And I thought, you know what? It would be better for me to get my first pass at this, the first real thing done in an environment that I feel familiar with. So then I spoke to her again and I said, you know what? I actually want to try that later section, the one that I opted out of doing. She's like, okay, cool, sounds good. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. We got to the location. We started setting up. I started rehearsing, doing all that jazz, making sure I had my items in place, my props. I know it sounds like theater, but it's not. They're pretty dry presentations. But anyways, I was prepped and ready to go, and a little nervous, but mostly confident. And then my lead comes up to me and she says, you know what, Alex? I know you'll do an excellent job with this section of the presentation, but one of your other teammates needs to work on it, needs the practice. And so I was like, fine. I was a little disappointed, but mostly relieved because I got out of it. But that's not why I'm making this video. The trap I fell into there was I was so confident that I was going to tackle this new challenge. And by the way, just as a quick side note, I think everyone should do what I did in that example. I think you should try to do the thing you don't feel comfortable with. But this next part is what you shouldn't do. And this is what I did. I was so confident about taking on this challenge that I kind of rested on my laurels. My lead assigned me with a different presentation for that day. And it was one that I had done a couple times before. It was, like I could do it in my sleep. And so, by the way, the presentation was after lunch. So I was basically on standby for half the day. And, lunch can be a real killer too, because once you get food in your stomach, especially if you eat a lot, I've learned this lesson the hard way. If you eat a lot of food, blood in your body gets diverted away to help process that food. And where is that blood going away from? Your brain. And so you become sluggish, you become tired. There's more factors than just that, but I remember listening to a podcast that explained it in that way. Anyways, I'm already getting off topic. So it was post-lunch. I was doing this presentation. I had a long time. So I was like so just zoned out. Not completely zoned out. Obviously, I was present if someone needed it. If my teammate needed an assist, I was there. But I just wasn't quite as engaged as if I had been had I done that early morning presentation, or better yet, done the presentation in the morning that I had never done. So I was kind of resting on my laurels a little bit. And lunchtime rolls around. It's relaxing. The venue we're at has a very nice sort of outdoor fountain area, very zen. And so I was hanging out, and then we came back. We were getting ready. Room was dark. People were in sleepy mode. And I'm over here like fussing with the PowerPoint. Like I can't get the slides to work or anything. And it's my turn to finally present. And I feel like I'm just slurring my words. Like I'm just not awake at all. And I'm doing my best. By the way, just to add an extra dynamic, my lead comes up to me right before the presentation, says, okay, so we actually need to tack on extra time here, because last time I did this section, it was done in 10 minutes. It needs to be closer to 20. 30, really, it's supposed to be 30, but there's no way in hell anyone is doing this presentation in 30 minutes. There's just not that much information to cover. So I'm like, cool, thank you for the reminder. I can extend it out. And I thought, great, man. If I'm already feeling kind of out of it, then that means I can just hang out and I can chat with the class, essentially. But, it didn't quite go that way. I tried asking questions. The group we had this particular day, they're very serious. So you couldn't banter as much, or at least, that's a skill I need to work on. One of my other teammates, just like phenomenal. So far, I don't think I've ever seen a presentation where he hasn't made at least one person laugh. And I see that as a really solid goal to reach for myself. You guys know how I talk. I'm a little dry and to the point, I guess, or rambly, whatever. I'm not going to self-deprecate. So I'm doing my best to draw out this presentation. I'm going through the information. There's one person in the audience, and they look like their hands are the only thing that's keeping them conscious right now. Like they're going to face plant right onto the table. And I can't look at this person because it's going to keep distracting me and getting me in my head, and it's going to throw me off. So I just kind of power my way through, and I drag it out as long as possible. In fact, there's a transitionary period where you go from one topic in the presentation to basically a new section. And I had forgotten that I was going to that new section. I thought I was done. And so I asked, are there any questions? Of course, there's crickets. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna... And I kind of trailed off. So we have this table in front of us with all these items, like so we can, demonstrate. And I trailed off. I'm like, I'm just gonna set this thing up here. They're all watching me, by the way. I'm just like, I'm gonna set this thing up here, like I'm by myself. And then I look up, and my lead is like, okay, you can go on to the next thing. Like we can move on. I'm like, oh, okay. I click the clicker for the slideshow. And I'm like, oh, right, there's a whole other section here. So I continue. I almost thought that out loud. And so then we go through the next section, which is really easy. And it's more interactive. I bring my teammates up and we present this together. So I'm a little bit more awake at this point. But I'm just like, man, this day would have been so different had I done those presentations at the beginning. But you know what? It doesn't matter. That wasn't my call. My lead needed me to play a part on the team, and that required me to be active in the afternoon. So I needed to make that adjustment. It was another layer of learning. It was a more advanced layer of learning. The layer I want you guys to understand or take away is the first one. It's that if you have an opportunity to go first, which I did on day one, I took it. I went first, I got warmed up, I introduced the entire class, the entire presentation at the very beginning, 8 a.m. And that was really good for me. But sometimes you're going to be called to do more. If you can master that aspect, great. Show up at the beginning, bright and early every time. It's going to make the rest of your day easier. But if you can't do that, you need to find a way to stay engaged. Drink water. Pay attention to what your other teammates are doing. Don't rest on your laurels. Don't expect it to ever be an easy day, even if you know it's going to be an easy day. Because as soon as you do that, and something out of the ordinary happens and you're not prepared, well, you're going to be in a world of hurt. And granted, I wasn't in a world of hurt. I just had a slightly silly story to tell you. But this is the reminder now before it happens. So I hope that serves you. Have a great rest of your evening, or whatever time you're watching this. And I'll see you in the next one. I'm going to enjoy my day off. I'll probably see you tomorrow anyways, but take care. Peace out. You know where to find me.